Hey guys, good day, and thanks for coming back to the next video. Hey, I wanted to put a little bit of context around this Revelation 12 verse 9, where these fallen angels are going to drop out of the sky. I mean, this Revelation 12:9, as I spoke about, has not been fulfilled or wasn't fulfilled in 70 AD. It's future fulfillment, but the point I made was that it's not spoken about in the churches, and it's pretty clear that when this event goes down, it's really going to fool people. And I provided some other verses from the Old Testament that have not been fulfilled, and then the blessings and curses from Deuteronomy 28 and Isaiah 13 about this group coming from the end of heavens, which is not on the earth. And I spoke about how Paul speaks about this wicked deception that's coming, that it's going to be this alien E.T. deception. I wanted to go back and look at the whole of Revelation 12, so I put together a study document where I did that, and I tried to put my opinion on the timing. I tried to put the order of events for this, and please just understand, this is just me giving it my I've never really looked at this formally, but I'm just trying to go through here and put some sort of timing to this. So I want to go through this quickly, and then I want to share this and compare this with a prophetic word from Barb at 278 Pike Lake. So if we go back to Revelation 12, I'm just going to start off by saying this 12th chapter provides an overview of what I would say leading up to the raptures of the man-child and the woman who delivers the man-child. Now, my thought is the man-child is 144,000 plus the bride. I would say it's the first fruits group of believers, the most faithful believers that were eagerly anticipating the appearance of Jesus, and so he's going to gather them up. The woman, I would say, are the next set, or the second first fruits, or folks that needed to be tried. They needed to have some sort of refinement, but the Lord's going to protect them too, we see. And then there's a third group, I would say, who are the offspring of the woman, and I would say that there are the tribulation saints. But let me just quickly go through this to put some order and timing on this. Okay, so Revelation 12:1 starts out that this great sign appeared in heaven. Now, we all know that this is what we think this is, a September 23rd sign, which was that astronomical alignment of the stars, the sun, the moon, and the stars that we saw a while back. And then there's a second sign that's coming, which I would say is the Planet X mini solar system with 7 planets and a bunch of moons. And then it's going to cast down stars to the earth. I would say that's the Passover of the destroyer. You can see that in Isaiah 28. Here, this is Isaiah 28, when this covenant with death is going to be annulled, passes through. Then your covenant with death will be annulled, and your agreement with Sheol will not stand when the overwhelming scourge passes through. As often as it passes through, it will take you morning by morning. It will be sheer terror to understand this message. Isaiah 28, more of unfulfilled prophecy, with the drunkards of Ephraim and the Lord casting down to the earth a mighty agent, one who is mighty and strong. And then let me go back here real quick. And then we see, it says, and that she gave birth to the man-child, or male-child, which I would say is the first fruits 10%. Why do I say that? Mina Lee Grebin had a prophetic word a while back that says that only 1 in 10 people who call upon the name of the Lord, he knows. I only know 1. Let me read it. But every 10 people who pray to me and declare to me as their Lord, I only know 1, says the Lord of hosts. Remember when Jesus said, depart from me, for I never knew you? Therefore I will pass my judgments upon this nation, and you will feel it. So I liken this to the 10 lepers that were healed. Only 1 came back. A Samaritan came back and gave thanks and praise to Jesus for his healing. Let me go back here. So she gives birth to the male child, which I say is 10%. And then it says the woman fled into the wilderness, where she has a place prepared by God, in which she is to be nourished for 3.5 years. That 3.5 years is when the first beast rules the world for 42 months. Then, just going with it, I got numbers here, number 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just offering up this as a possibility. Maybe these all happen exactly at the same time. I don't know. But then a war arose in heaven, and Satan and his fallen angels were thrown down. This is the whole point of my last video. And then the dragon became furious with the woman who was protected in the wilderness. And then he went off to make war with the rest of her offspring. That would be the people that were left behind a second time, who became believers. So you can kind of see how this plays out. So those, it would appear to me, those who are part of this 10%, this first fruits, will not necessarily be caught up or have to deal with these fallen angels, the faithful Christians. So if we go over to a prophetic word from from Barb, this is what her word says, and it alludes to this Revelation 12 order of events. I'm going to go through it rather quickly. It goes like this: time will seem to stand still. I think this might be when the asteroid hits and stops the Earth from rotating, cause darkness. I'm not sure how that's going to be, but that's a possibility. And it says this. It says, but people will come to know him during the 40 days of chaos following the rapture of the church. I would say this is the man-child that's sent up. The raptures will take place very close together. First the innocents, then the children, then my bride. And this bride, I would say, is the harvesting bride from Matthew 24:31. You can see that right here. That comes right here. Verse 31, the elect bride will be caught up, gathered, after all these false Christs and all this other stuff. This is this time of trial that's going to occur. Okay? Get back to her word. I also want to look at this now. It says the raptures will take place very close together. First the innocents, then the children, and then my bride. So if we jump over to Hosea 5, I've talked about this before. Hosea 5 is, I think we are right at the beginning of Hosea 5 right now on the prophecy time clock. We're going to have the land deal in here. Ephraim's going to be crushed in judgment. And then the Lord's going to come and he's going to take away, tear away, carry off from those, from Ephraim and from the house of Judah. For I will be like a lion to Ephraim and a young lion to the house of Judah. I will tear and go away and carry off. This, I would say, is the rapture of the innocents, the very first group. Then you can see if you go to Hosea 6, the first left behind group, they say, come, let us return to the Lord, for he may heal us. After 2 days he will revive us. On the third day he will raise us up, that we may live before him. I think this is what she refers to as the children or the church here. And then the harvesting bride there. If you go back to Hosea, you see when you start to read the end of Hosea 6, you get where you see in the house of Israel, in the Christian church, I see a horrible thing. Ephraim's whoredom is there. Israel is defiled. There's nothing Jewish about any of this verse. The Jews are here. For you also, O Judah, Jews, a harvest is appointed. So this is, I would say, this is the abomination. This is some sort of alien E.T. worship thing going on here, where the church, the house of Israel, is defiled. It's not replacement theology. Nobody has replaced the Jews. The Jews are right here. Okay? For you also, O Judah, a harvest is appointed. But in the house of Israel, the Christian church, the Lord has seen a horrible thing. Ephraim's whoredom is there. Israel is defiled. Okay? And then if you jump to Hosea 7, you see more of this craziness going on. You guys can read all this. It's just crazy. This is what I say is going on nuts in the world after the little ones and the true church is taken. Ephraim, the USA, mixes himself with the peoples. A cape not turned. The pride of Israel testifies to his face. Ephraim is like a dove, silly without sense, going up to the Assyrian, whoever the Antichrist is. But the Lord says, I will spread my net over them. He's going to start collecting some of these up, I think. Right? And then you go to Hosea 8, and we see, set your trumpet to the lips, one like an eagle, says vulture, is over the house of the Lord. This is the trumpet blast. Matthew 24:31. This is the elect bride being taken. And one like an eagle is over the house of the Lord. And if we go to Revelation 14, we see somebody here, and another angel came out. And this is the Lord putting his sickle in the ground. He's riding on a cloud, and he's gathering people up. This is the harvest of the formerly lukewarm that are being taken up. Okay, so I just wanted to take her word and compare it with what we see in the Bible. But here he says, and then she goes on to talk about that the Lord has chosen warriors who are marked for his protection to spread the truth to those who need to hear it. Many are not part of my bride and will need to understand my God and my mercy before being rescued. That's at Hosea 8, rescue. She says, the others will do all they can do to convince those left behind to be led to the New World government. That's the beast system. The lie that will perpetuate will convince many that I am a lie and that the mass disappearances can be explained away. This is where my warriors come in, going to those they knew in their new glorified bodies, convincing them to go to the pre-appointed protected Goshens for safekeeping. That's what I would say is what's spoken about here. This woman being fled into the wilderness, and the harvest workers are doing that. Okay, so what about these chosen warriors that get this new transformed body? It speaks about that up here during the 3 days of darkness. We can see these transformed warriors in Zechariah 9. I've talked about Zechariah 9 before, where this is the rapture at the end of the time of trial. We see that Damascus gets destroyed in the beginning. We see that I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim, fleshy Ephraim. This is Isaiah 17:3 right here, right? Same thing. And then there's a resurrection. And as for you, because of the blood of my covenant, this is the new covenant, I will set my prisoners free from the waterless pit, some type of resurrection. Okay. For I have bent Judah as my bow and made Ephraim its arrow. This is now spiritual Ephraim, who's going to be the arrows that are hidden in the quiver of the Lord. They're going to be the harvest workers. Then the Lord will appear over them. 1 Thessalonians 4:17. His arrows will go forth like lightning, and God will sound the trumpet. And then he will save them on that day. This is the rapture at the end of the time of trial. And if you go to Zechariah 10, this is where people get strengthened. And then I will strengthen the house of Judah, that's the Jews. I will save the house of Joseph, that's the Christians. Okay. Then Ephraim, spiritual Ephraim, shall become like a mighty warrior, and their hearts shall be glad as with wine. Their children shall see it, and their hearts shall rejoice. I will whistle for them and gather them in, for I have redeemed them. This is 144,000. They have been redeemed, first fruits redeemed. He's going to gather them in after the harvest. They're going to become like a mighty warrior, like a mighty warrior angel. It's the same thing that's spoken about in here, about these warriors with these new glorified bodies. That's Zechariah 10 spoken about. Okay, where else did I want to go with this? I think that's probably about it, guys. Let me go back here. So I know some of the folks made a few comments in my previous video about Christians in general. We're going to see this. The faithful first fruits Christians, what I would say, they are not going to see this horrible alien E.T. thing. I think they're going to be going up when those guys come down. But this larger group, these women, this church that flees into the wilderness will see it. And of course, this second left behind group, this offspring of the church, the tribulation saints, of course they'll have to deal with it. So guys, I think that's it. You guys can download this document and put up any comments you have. And with that, guys, have a great day, and God bless you.